Awesome. We're going to start with our first flex session here, so I'm really excited to debut this to everybody. Again, if you guys have questions, please feel free to comment. And so what we're going to do here, we're going to start with a butterfly stretch. So the big thing here is the feet are going to come together. I know this might be a little bit tough. Again, as I kind of work the kinks out a little bit, definitely want to provide a better, experience for the video and stream. So with the butterfly stretch, what we want to do here is we want to take the elbows, drive it into the knees, or you could take the hands, place it around the feet, and just pull yourself forward. So again, hands on the ankles, driving the knees down, or toes, grabbing onto the toes and pulling yourself in. You're going to feel that stretch right through the inner thigh or groin. Now, what I want you to focus on here is taking a deep breath. So nice inhale. And then as you exhale, I want you to take a nice deep exhale. And just try to get yourself, again, a little bit more forward or driving the knees down to the floor. So again, what I want you to do here, just take a nice deep breath. And exhale. And we'll just keep with this position for just a little bit longer. I meant to grab the mouse, so I'm just going to stand right up quickly just to grab that so that way I can go over everything that we have going on. Now, with the next thing we're going to do here, I'm going to show this from the side because you're probably going to see it a little bit better from that angle. I'm going to go into a frog stretch. So what we're going to do here, one leg, the leg is going to kick out to the side. And what you want is the bottom of your feet directed at like a wall of some sort. Wherever that wall is, it just has to be directed into that wall. Now, with the spine position, I want you to keep a neutral spine. So I don't want you to think about kind of rounding your back or extending. I want you to find somewhere where it's really comfortable and more natural on the spine. And what I want you to do here is just sit right down into that stretch. So again, you're going to feel that stretch very similar to that butterfly position where you're going to feel that right in the groin. You may feel in the hips as well. If there's any discomfort, please limit how you're going about this. Don't overdo it. You don't want to create any sort of defense mechanism in the body where it then starts to panic and freak out. Just go where you feel comfortable. And again, just take a nice deep breath and exhale. And just take your time. Again, we're not trying to rush through each position. We want to take our time. We want to feel out each position. Maybe you might notice that you can get a little bit more deep into that stretch. And good. Again, from here, we're going to go staying in the same position more or less. We're going to go into a child's pose. So the feet are going to be, or the legs are going to be directly underneath you. And this is something that you would, if you take yoga, you'd probably see this in a yoga class. So with this, you're going to just sit back on the heels and then reach the arms out in front of you. And same thing, same rules apply. Again, I want you guys to focus on breathing. Take a nice deep breath in. And then as you exhale, I want you to then try to lower the torso, chest down to the floor. And you may notice a really nice stretch in that lower back, especially in the shoulders as well as the arms are stretched out and you're bringing that torso down to the floor. So again, still hold that position. Still make sure that you're getting your deep breaths in as you go through this. And what we're going to then go into is still staying in that child's pose position. And being in that child's pose position, we're just going to rotate and move one arm across the body, have the other arm kind of follow with it. So both arms are, in this case, are over to my left. And I'm just kind of sitting down into that stretch. Now, in this case, what you're going to feel, like you normally would in that child's pose with the lower back being nice and stretched, is that you're going to feel that right by the lat. So the muscle that's right underneath the armpit, you're going to feel that stretch. And especially if you're just sitting, at a computer for hours on end, there's just a really nice stretch to just kind of get the arms and shoulders to just loosen up a little bit. Seeing as, even though we may have a really good setup in terms of like a home office, or maybe you don't have a good setup, we're going to be kind of hunched over and shoulders are going to be rounded. So you just want to combat that a little bit by just getting everything to loosen up so that way you can just move the shoulders back a little bit. Again, as we are going on this stream, I want you guys to ask any questions that you may have. Again, it doesn't have to be related to the class itself. It could just be anything fitness, wellness related. So again, just feel free to ask whatever questions that you may have. Now we went on the left side. We're going to then work onto the right side. So everything still applies. So the left arm is going to go across the body. The right arm is just going to follow out to the side. And you're just sitting right down. Okay, so again, just focus on your breathing. Take a nice deep breath. And then exhale. Again, I just like doing this stretch just because it just kind of gets the upper back to just loosen up a little bit, especially if I'm going to go and be on the computer for, let's say an hour, 2 hours, whether that's me doing work or me kind of going about my day-to-day of, just going from client to client. Sometimes I will travel to clients, so sitting in a car for, let's say 45 minutes isn't always the most ideal on the body. So with that being said, next thing we're going to move on to, or into, is going to be a hamstring stretch. So we're going to go one leg nice and straight. The other leg is bent. Now, the goal here, if you cannot reach the toes, there's nothing wrong with that. So again, what I want you to focus on here, just go as far as you feel comfortable. Everybody's going to feel a little bit tight. It's all going to be relative to how tight you're feeling. So in this case, I can go for my toes. What you don't want to do is you don't want to be super rounded in that back where like now I'm kind of hunched over. I just still want to reach for the toes but not lose that back position. Now if that means that all you can do is just get to the shin, that's perfectly fine. Again, there's nothing wrong. There's no right or wrong way. As long as this way works for you and what you need to do, I'm more than okay with. Okay, so again, just taking your time. And what we're going to do here is we're going to just switch sides. So we're about halfway through, guys, in terms of the flex session. We got about 7 more minutes to go. Again, we're just taking our time now. Same thing, keep that back position pretty neutral. If you have a small round in the back, that's fine as long as it's not creating any sort of discomfort in the body as a whole. So again, if all you can do is reach for the shins, that's perfectly fine. In this case, my left side's a lot tighter than my right, so I can't really get to my toes. I can touch it, but it's almost barely, and you don't want to force the position. So again, take a nice deep breath. And as you exhale, you may notice that you may get, let's say, like, a half inch or so of more movement. Next thing we're going to do here, we're going to go into a knee hug. So, showing from the side, the knee hug is going to be one leg nice and straight, and then you're taking the knee and bringing it right in. Okay, so again, what we're trying to do here is we're just trying to get a little bit of a stretch in that lower back, in the glute. And just, again, I know I'm looking and my head's lifted up so I can look at you, but what I want you to focus on here is just bringing the head down to the floor and just keeping the neck nice and relaxed. So you don't want to create a lot of tension through the neck, which you may notice might give you a headache later on. So just kind of keep the head relaxed, and just, kind of hold that position for a little bit. And from here, still staying with that same leg. We're not switching legs just yet. I'm having my left knee go across the body to the right side of my body, but still keeping my left shoulder blade down on the floor. So I'm not rotating and just turning. I'm keeping my torso still down towards the floor. And again, take a nice deep breath. And exhale. And you may notice that maybe your back starts to pop. Again, if there's no pain or discomfort, that's perfectly fine. It might just be that it just kind of unlocks a little bit. From here, we're then going to switch sides down. So, again, in this case, my left leg is straight, right knee is bent, bringing it in towards my torso or chest, and take a nice deep breath, and then exhale. And we will be bringing that knee across the body. And again, keeping, in this case, my right knee is going over to the left side of my body. My right shoulder is still staying down onto the floor. Hopefully you guys are already starting to feel a little bit looser, a little bit better. Body's feeling better than it did before. And great job. From here, we're now going to move into a half kneeling hip flexor stretch. So showing from the side just because the angle is a little bit better. I'm going to go one knee up. Now, if you have a mat that you're using, fold it up a little bit so that way the knee that's down on the floor feels really comfortable. You're not creating any sort of uncomfortable, feeling in the knee or discomfort. So what I'm going to do here is I'm digging my left toe into the floor, squeezing my left glute as tight as I can, and the next level from there would be taking my my left hand and reaching it up for the ceiling. Okay. Now, as you can tell, I'm not like trying to bring my shoulder to my ear. I'm keeping my shoulder blade down, okay? So shoulder blade is down. And you may notice that your hip flexor, the muscles right in the front of the hip, are going to loosen up a little bit, especially with keeping that glute really tight. So squeezing that butt cheek as tight as you can. Again, just holding that position for a little bit. We got about a minute left. And we're going to switch sides. So again, I'm just going to show you facing the other way. So digging the toes into the floor. Now, again, right toe into the floor. So right arm is up, really squeezing. And again, you may notice that one side is always going to be a little bit tighter than the other, and that's perfectly fine. It might just be because of the way you stand or sit. You may kind of lean over or favor one side over the other. So as a result, you may start to notice that you're a little tight. Awesome job, everybody. So again, I want to thank you guys for hopping on and taking this first class with me. If you guys want to stick around, I'll be starting up Get Up in about 4 minutes or so. And again, that's going to be more of a boot style class. At the end of Get Up, I'll stay on for about another 10 more minutes where we can then have any sort of Q&A to go over anything that you guys may have in terms of questions. So again, I want to thank you guys all for joining in. Looking forward to seeing you guys hop into the next class, and then we'll go from there. Have an awesome Friday. Have a great weekend. Stay safe.